Oh, it's a different type of ginger ale. Is it spicy?
It's got a lot of ginger in it. All right, guys. Episode 2 of Bets and Bicks.
For the heads up.
All right. Today, I got my buddy Andy here, who has a badass R33 that you will get to see later. It's gorgeous purple. Y'all know I got a thing for purple.
Yeah, purple does it to me too.
Makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. All right, Andy, tell them who you are, where you're from.
Andy Gomez, originally from Colombia, South America.
Is that anywhere near Columbia, South Carolina? Or?
No, it's a little bit south. I did actually end up going to high school in Greenville, South Carolina, so that is close to Columbia, South Carolina.
So you went from Colombia, where they speak Spanish, to Colombia, where they speak redneck.
Yeah, gotta learn them all.
Sorry for all you South Carolinians out there. I'm just playing. I'm from Virginia, and I got a public school education, and most of my college is online, so I still count with my shoes off. Look at this thing.
Yeah, I saw it when I opened this thing.
It's badass.
Yeah.
So, when did you join the Army? When did you come to America first?
1993.
93. I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah. Fuck that field. 93.
1993.
Yep, to New Jersey, actually.
Yeah.
I moved to Jersey when we first got here.
To Jersey and then down to South Carolina.
Yeah, my dad, by the time I made it to middle school in Jersey, my dad realized that gangs was pretty prominent over there, and he decided to move us down to South Carolina. We heard from a friend that it was pretty quiet. There was no gangs or anything. So
you missed Jersey?
I didn't talk to my dad for like 3 months after we moved down. I was so mad about it.
You like that gang life?
But now, like, I don't think I can thank him enough for moving me down away from all this stuff and, giving me the opportunity to actually grow.
I got you.
I mean, I was going the nowhere path in Jersey. Like, I wasn't going to do good. So
there you go.
Yeah, it was hard at first, but eventually we got it. I got used to it, and then good life after that. And some propane.
When did you join the Army?
2003.
2003. So episode 1, the guy joined in 2001.
He got me for 2 years.
So
he did it pre 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I did it after 9/11, but it had nothing to do with 9/11.
Why did you join the Army?
Used to work at a Japanese restaurant. like the guys that cook in front of me.
Hibachi.
That's me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hibachi. So I did that for a long time, and so we used to go and shoot pool afterwards. And I was pretty good at pool. And one of the guys was like, "Yo, bet you want to join the Army or whatever." And we just shooting, just drinking and talking. And then I lost the game, and he was like, "You gotta join the Army." So I didn't take it serious, right? So I was like, "I'm never." Well, hold on. So I was like, I didn't take it serious. I was like, bro, nobody's really gonna do that, right? Like, nobody's gonna say, "Oh, I lost a bet, shoot a pool, so I am gonna go join the Army." It wouldn't light up. So the next day was a little hungover, cooking for lunch. So those guys will make a lot of, when you're cooking for lunch, you're just cooking. You're not doing tricks. You're not talking. You just kind of want to get the people back to work, right? This lady was sitting on the table, and she was like, "Well, you look bored." And I was like, "No, I'm just kind of cooking and whatnot." And so she handed me a card, and she was like, "Well, if you change your mind about your job, give me a call." I threw the card in the little cart, and then I went back to the kitchen. I looked at it, and it was a recruiter from the Army Reserve.
You got 2 signs.
But that was next day.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yeah, let's see it." So I went and visited her and actually joined the reserve. And that was in 2003.
Oh yeah. So you lose a bet.
I lose a bet.
Recruiter comes in next day. There is your sign. You go join the National Guard. What was Reserves. Sorry.
There's a difference.
My bad. So what was your MOS?
71 Lima,
mm-hmm.
which is an old admin MOS. So paper pusher, admin, administrative clerk. The reason why I did that is because I didn't want to be gone for long, right? I wanted to be in and out. I was joining the reserves. I was losing money while being in training. So she said, it's just 3 weeks
mm-hmm.
for AIT. So like, send it 3 weeks, And like the whole thing was all about, you had a computer and you had the penguin coming across with some like a word on the iceberg. And if you didn't type it fast enough, the penguin would fall off. That was it. That was 3 weeks of training was that.
Infantrymen learn to shoot a rifle. Medics learn to save lives. You learn to outrun a penguin. It's your tax dollars at work right there, guys.
Keep a penguin on the iceberg. That was it. And then at the end, like the final exam was like a memo. You had to type a memo, but they gave you a paper copy. So you just had a copy from that to that, and you had like an hour. And that was it. And so,
I mean, I'm giving you shit, but those are absolutely important MOSs, you know, beans and bullets and pay, all that kind of things.
I think every MOS is important if you really look at it. Like, I think at some point it becomes, you need it, right? You need the admin. Without the admin, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. Without the supply sergeant, which is what I am now, 92 Yankee, you're not getting what you need, right? Without guys like you, we can't communicate. So I think just about every MOS is important. I mean, I met plumbers in the reserves. And I'm like, what do you do? You know, she was like, well, when they build something, we go in there. And it was a she, and you know, we just built a plumbing system.
I wonder if, because I've never seen them active duty, I wonder if they're all reserve or National Guard. Like, I've never met an active duty watercraft operator. And the Army actually has quite a few watercraft operators.
Yeah. The Army Reserves, actually, they have not just the watercraft operator, but they have 3 reserve units that are the MRBs. So like the bridging units. All 3 of them are in the reserves.
Out of Leonardwood, and I think one's out of Eustis.
There's one in Virginia. The other one is the one that we used to be under, or we had under us, was in Warner Robins, Georgia. It's pretty cool. They have a lot of stuff. But yeah, they got boats. They got the little inflatable boats, like the, you know, the group and Kodiaks, the SEAL guys, like the Kodiaks and all that cool stuff. But they just put in a bridge together.
When I was in Kuwait, we got to go off base, and we did like this leadership trip. And we got to get on a Army ship, and there was a Navy ship right beside it, and they were comparing the two. And they're like, you see that naval ship right there? There'll be 60 guys on there manning it, and, you know, engineers and all this other stuff. They're like, this Army boat right here, we have 12 people. We do the exact same thing. And I was like, but why? if they can do it with 60 people, like, you're doing it with 12. And he's like, yeah, we got one guy that cooks, and then, you know, we have 3 engineers and 2 mechanics and yada yada. And I'm like, but
are they overworking the Army guys though?
Yeah, I was like, how overworked are you? And he's like, well, in the Navy, every piece of communication equipment has like its own specialist. So one guy will do the radios, one guy will do like we have the FECB2, like a system like that. One guy will do HF, one guy will do TACSAT. And I was like, oh, so that makes sense, because one guy can do all those at one time in the Army. But some of that stuff, man, this guy's got to be working.
Yeah, but you got to be working all the time.
Exactly.
That's why they said that, you know, always like, if you're smart, you join the Air Force, right? If you want to serve the country and you're smart, you join the Air Force, not the Army, because you're not going to get overworked.
True.
But yeah, that was that's why I joined. Yeah. I had nothing to do with 9/11. I mean, obviously, it was crisis, but I was minding my business, cooking, making money, and then all of a sudden, between a bed and a card.
I mean, you knew about 9/11, and you still had
absolutely
the fortitude to go forth and raise your right hand. So
and so what's crazy is once I joined, you know, I was in the reserves a year and a half, and then I got called to deploy. And so I was like, well, what am I deploying as? And it was to go work at a post office. And when I deployed, that's really when it hit, like, I need to do more than just the reserves, right? Like, I want to be more than just 1 week in a month. And I didn't go active duty, but only AGR, so yeah.
And for all you that don't know, AGR, Active Guard Reserve, is the Army's best kept secret. The only downfall is you got to be in the Guard first, or the Reserves first.
Either Guard or the Reserves, yeah. Each one has his own.
You can be either one, but I mean, you're getting paid by the Army, like doing 9 to 5, but you're at home. Now, you do still deploy, but you don't deal with as much of the Army isms as you do being active duty.
I mean, we get everything that active duty gets. We do the same thing that active duty does. The major difference is we don't have to be in an installation, right? So we have anywhere where there's a reserve unit, you could go. So I've been in installations like Fort Eustis, Virginia. I've been in Fort Stewart, Georgia, because we had units there. I was in a unit there. But then I also been in Camp Parks, which is in Dublin, California. It's not a post. And right now I'm in Lumberton, not at Fort Liberty. So that's the biggest difference. Is you get to see a lot more than just post.
Yeah. So my buddy's AGR in California, and he does like the S3 planes and stuff like that. He works 9 to 5, but then when they do their drills, their drill weekends,
Yeah, we have to be there.
he works 10 times as much
Yeah.
then, and then even leading up to it because he has to do all the planning for those guys to come in and be able to train.
And then afterwards, the cleanup.
Yeah,
Because it's not just like clean, you build it. I mean, clean up like, okay, they conducted an ACFT, right? So I help prepare, because I do a lot of the 3 here. So I help prepare it, get it ready, make sure the route is done. They conduct it, and then they give it back to me. And then the next day, I'm doing the 705s. I'm inputting the stuff into DTMS. So this full-time support takes care of everything pretty much. As much as you want, the guys to help.
Yeah.
I knew what it was like being in the reserves and, working like at a restaurant and then going to drill. And it's like, when do I have time to try to help those guys? And I don't. So, yeah, as much as, a lot of guys do, though. They have time and they just get on the computer and help. It's like, oh, I'll put in, DTMS, or I'll, go into this and do that. And we're like, cool, yeah, that helps. Which is good training for them, too, because it's more than just 1 weekend a month.
True. But all of them have been, active or reserves or something before. You don't just go straight AGR. So
no, so you have to be in the Army. You can't just You can't just sign up to be AGR. So you have to be either in the reserves in the Guard or be active duty and then coming off active duty. So you have to be getting ready transaction of active duty and then putting your application for AGR.
I said one sergeant first class. I just worked with her like 2 years ago in civil affairs. The one in your unit. I was like, wow, I didn't know she got out, which I don't really talk to her. So
yeah, she went in the reserves. She's actually in the reserves.
So she came to us in like 2020, I think, as a sergeant, E5. And now she's an E7.
Oh, the reserves is crazy. The promotion rate is so much faster.
Is it?
Way faster.
So,
because they're not competing.
But I thought if you don't have a slot, like especially when you get to senior ranks, if there's not a slot for an E7 there, you're not going to get promoted to E7.
Yeah, but they put in a radius, right? So they say, I'm willing to travel 250 miles. And so when the list comes out, they'll look for a unit within 250 miles, and then you can get slotted into that position.
I mean, but the higher up you get, the harder it gets.
Yeah, but it's still not. I mean, I know a guy I was an E6 when he was a private, and he's an E8 now. Right? And it's just his MOS, and he's an MP, and he just really quick. Damn. Yeah, I know another one that went from he was a specialist when I met him, and now he's a captain. And he made it all the way to 5, and then just became a captain. It's just the promotion rate is a lot faster in the reserves than active duty. Now it's the Guard is the slowest one. That's why everybody kind of makes fun of like a lot of the Guard guys because they look old, and you're like, you only an E5? How? And that's because they compete for their slots, but they can only compete within their state, right? So if you're in the North Carolina National Guard, you can only get promoted within the state. And then so if you're, for example, like a engineer, there's only one engineer unit in the Guard in North Carolina.
So there's very limited
slot, right? So if there's only 2 E6 positions in the unit and you're an E5, and those 2 guys that are ahead of you are not promoting to 7 because there's no slots, then you're not going anywhere.
So you got to kill one of them.
Yeah, you got to wait for them to die. You got to wait for one to die.
This isn't life advice, guys. Don't listen. This isn't life advice.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
That's the problem with the Guard. It just takes so long to promote.
So deployments. You said your first deployment, you were a mail clerk. Where were you at?
So, Fob Falcon.
Okay.
Which is south of Baghdad. It was 2005. So all of 2006. We got there in 2005. But my favorite part of it is we didn't just work at the post office. So there were times where they had this outpost called it Triangle of Death, but it was like Mangadia, Yusufia, Lutufia. Those guys didn't have any way to get mail out. They can mail in once a month in a container, and then they like kind of disperse it, but they didn't have it. So we will go in a convoy and go to those guys and be like, hey, you got mail out. So we will pick up mail for them. We'll weigh it, get the boxes. Just there's all the active duty infantry guys that are sitting there in the middle of nowhere. That was my favorite part. Like I volunteered to do that shit. Yeah, I volunteered to go. We would go once. I think it was like every other week. I volunteered to go every time. I was like, yeah. I mean, that's where I saw what a real war looks like. 'Cause we were traveling from point A to point B in a Humvee, getting into, you know, firefights, and it was like, oh, there's ID up front. We gotta stop. We gotta sit there for, you know, 3 hours because they find an ID, and we have to wait for EOD and all that stuff. That's when I saw what a real world looked like. But yeah,
I had that conversation with Jared because he's at his first fob or his first deployment. He was a fob, and didn't get to leave the fob just because of his MOS, and he was in a signal unit, so you know, it wasn't often those guys got to leave. But his second MOS or his second deployment, you know, he was with artillery guys, so they were pretty much, you know, acting as infantry.
yeah.
So he's like, I get to leave the fob and do all sorts of fun stuff, you know, and it's way more fun outside the fob than
it is. It's not only it's horrible when you're a fobby, but it's like, I know you're making a difference, right? You're helping out the morale by doing post work, but it's like I'm not contributing. Like I want to do something.
You really are. No
matter
you
know you are. You absolutely are. But it's just, you know, you
don't get to see the effects of your work.
Yeah, so we will be sitting outside playing spades at night, you know, because it's hot and you don't want to be in your room or whatever and you're hooch. And you see the convoy coming in, right? And you see the guys just like beat down and sweaty and dirt. And it's like, damn, like that's, you know. But obviously, I never joined to be an infantry. I never, you know.
No,
but,
I get it.
But still, so going out there and doing the stuff with those guys and like picking up mail, that was my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff that happened, obviously, you know. Because you're going from convoy and you're driving 2-3 hours and, you know, stuff happens. Yeah. But that was the fun part.
How many deployments you got?
Let's call it one and a possible.
One and a big?
Yeah. The possible was Kuwait.
I got you. So
it's considered a deployment, it's not a combat deployment.
Exactly. So I got stuck in Kuwait myself. I've got 3 combat deployments, you know, 2 to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan, and then Kuwait for 9 months. But I promise you, in Kuwait, not getting shot at, not getting blown up, it was more stressful than all of my other 3 combat deployments. That 9 months in Kuwait was an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah. For me, it wasn't. I was a BOC instructor.
Oh, that'd be kind of dope.
So we run an academy in Camp Beering.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
When were you there?
2014.
I was there in 15.
Yeah, 14. So it wasn't... It's a deployment because you're away from home, right? Mm-hmm. But I was, at the time, I was already AGR and I was a BOC instructor in Camp Parks. And then they had these missions where we had to go to Kuwait. So we went for 9 months. And it was fun. We tried to run it as regular as we could, like normal, but yeah, you're still in Kuwait.
So with regular Army, that would be considered like a broadening assignment, going to be a
same thing for us.
Do you guys need that to promote just like regular Army?
It helps. It helps? Yeah, it helps. It definitely helps. So it's just like regular Army. Yeah, it helps having a broadening assignment, having like drill sergeant, instructor, or something like that.
I got you.
Get you out of your MOS. Because, you know, when you're competing against your peers, a guy that's never done anything but 92 Yankee versus a guy who's been an instructor and has some other stuff done. So, yeah. It does help.
Army never looked down on me and said, that's a high-speed guy right there. He's going to go be a drill sergeant or a recruiter. Never got that opportunity.
I don't know if I wanted to do recruiter, though.
No, I wanted the opportunity to do something else. I was stuck in BCT land forever and a day. So I wanted to get out and do something. But at the same time, you know, I got to stay proficient in my MOS the entire time.
Yeah.
Which really helped me. You know, I don't think it helped my promotion chances, but it helped me as a leader and as
you honed the skills. You didn't take a break from doing what you normally do. Yeah. I just don't know if recruiter was for me. Like I can't. It feels like it's very political.
Any job in the MOS or in the Army eventually gets political.
Yeah. But I don't know. I never thought about it. It never crossed my mind to say, oh, you know what, I could do recruiting.
I got buddies that love it. I know people that
I know guys who've been doing it and they're like, dude, this is it. Like I love it. And I'm like, I just don't know.
One of my buddies was a 25 uniform and switched over to 79 Romeo. He's a career recruiter now, and I don't know if he really likes that decision, but he lives with it, and it's entered his career though. I guarantee if he would have been a 25 uniform, you know, he'd be a master sergeant by now, and he hadn't been able to promote as quickly because of the MOS change. So it's hindered him, and I know he resents that fact.
Yeah, I mean, But every MOS matters. I go back to that. Like the more I think about, like when on my first deployment, right, we would have all the civilian guys driving trucks, and I'm thinking like, all right, we got a civilian, we paying them probably $80,000 to drive this truck. We got 80 MIs. Like, why don't we use them? You know, and that's my thing. It's like if we have the MOS, why don't we use them? But I never understood all this stuff. I was too young. I was just questioning like, why do we pay civilians when we have that MOS?
I don't know if we're ready for that. And
yeah, we're not.
This YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We'll get there eventually.
Let me get out first. Let me finish.
I'm with you. How much longer you got?
June.
June? Okay. So you're getting out right before me.
Yeah, I'll be out in June. Probably start terminal leave in. I mean, you look like you already got out.
Yeah, everybody says that. I mean, my foxhole is really small.
Yeah.
Work with a couple contractors, and I'm not around soldiers, and I don't wear the uniform, so I'm taking my twilight year and just trying to improve my skills as a communicator to help me further my career when I get out. So
yeah, good. So June will be for me.
Live my best life. October 29th, I got the email. I got my orders, but IPSE still said that my retirement packet was pending, and I'm like, dude, I've only got like 9 months left. So I emailed the lady today, and she called me, and she was like, what's the issue? Don't you have your retirement orders? I was like, yeah, but IPSE still says my packet is pending. So is there an issue? And she's like, no, it should have been closed out the day you got your orders. And I was like, so my retirement packet's complete? And she's like, yeah, you've got all your appointments set up. You're good.
Yeah, that's nice. I don't have orders yet. Well, I'm going through the med board, so mine's a little different. So I don't have orders yet, but yeah. June either way is it for me.
I got offered a med board again, I think 2-3 weeks ago. But I think it would delay everything I've got going on because I want to do the CSP. So I would intern between March and May. And then June, I'll come back to the Army, and that gives me a month to clear. And I'm just afraid that the med board would kind of interfere with all the appointments.
It takes about 8 months.
And
it's taken about 8 months to do. Too. I mean, mine started, it takes about 8 months to do. So it may delay it now. The benefit of going through the med board is you do your VA retirement and your military retirement at the same time. So you're attending all your military or your VA appointments. By the time you're out, your VA is done. Yeah. You don't have to try to wait for it or fight it or any of this stuff.
I just got my medical records today, so I got to do my physical and schedule all that crap. So we'll see how it goes.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, that's why I stayed in for 20 years. It was just easier to stay in than get out.
I know that was my plan too, but then, fortunately my back said no more. So then that was it. Time to go.
Andy joins in 2003 because he loses a bet. Decides he wants to go be admin.
The shortest MOS possible. I didn't care what it was.
Possible. So
I didn't care what it was. I just didn't want to be gone from home because I was losing money.
And now you're supply.
Now I'm supply sergeant.
How'd that transformation happen?
My deployment. I just talking to guys, just getting to know soldiers, talking to them just about their MOS, what they did, and talked to quite a few supply sergeants, and I realized that those guys is like a very small mafia. Like they're the ones that get you the stuff, right? So I was like, I think that's cool MOS, and I wanted but this time I wanted out of the admin more. Like I wanted to do more, and I just felt like supply was cool.
It's a lot of responsibility, though.
It is.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of it's a lot of money involved.
If your paperwork's not straight, somebody's paying, and you better hope it's not you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the object of the game is to make sure your commander never pays for anything, right? Yeah. That's really all I did. And that's what I tell my commanders, like, I'm here to make sure you don't pay for anything. Mm-hmm. I want everything is going to be the way it's supposed to be so you don't have to pay. Because they're the ones that come after their commanders.
Oh, yeah.
You know that, so.
No, that's legit.
But yeah, that was, I reclassed in 2007. So after I came back from my deployment, enjoyed home for a little bit, and then I went to reclass.
Where did you deploy in 2007?
What's that?
Where were you at in 2007?
Back home.
Oh, I thought you said
no, when I came back from deployment. I came back from deployment in 2006, like Christmas of 2006, and then 2007 I went to reclass.
I was deployed in 07, 08, long-ass deployment. It's just funny, like, the Army is a very small world. The military as a whole is a very small world. And you'd be surprised the people you bump into. One of my best friends, we were talking about, deployments, and he was like, yeah, I was a war horse, yada, yada. And I was like, I was a war horse, in 2008. And he sent me a picture one day, and this is after he's already retired out of the Army. I think I was here. So this is like 2020, 2021, sometime around there. And he's like, hey, look, this is where my striker got stuck in Iraq. And I was like, motherfucker, I was QRF on that mission. Like, so we went out to the middle of nowhere. He said that his lieutenant was navigating. First mistake, but he led him into a dried up lake bed, and the striker sunk down.
It just sunk in.
So yeah, we were QRF, and we had to go up there and try to retrieve the striker. And one of our strikers got stuck, so we had to come back and get a HEMTT. And then that couldn't pull it out, so we had to go back and get another HEMTT. So we did a mission, like a 4-hour mission during the day, came back, and they're like, you're QRF. And we're like, no big deal. We'll just hang out by the trucks. Then we got called up, which didn't happen too often. And yeah, that 4-hour mission turned into like a 26-hour day.
Fucking shit show.
Yeah.
Regular Army shit show.
Small world, man.
Yeah, it is a small world. Like, I've met some people. Well, funny is now I've met guys at Liberty, and it was like, you look familiar. And I was like, you gotta remind me, brother, you know. And it was like, were you an instructor? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, oh, you were my instructor in BOC in Kuwait. I'm like, of all places, like, you know. So yeah, even to this date, it's just a small world. But it's for me, it's hard to remember everybody, especially when you're an instructor, because you're turning over, right? Weeks. So you're going through 25 soldiers every 3 weeks, and just so it's hard to remember everybody. But yes, it's a definitely a small world, small army. That's a fact.
So like I was saying, the Army's a small world. Like my second deployment, I was stuck on a retrans site, and there's less than 20, 25 people on the site. And I have not met a whole bunch of people from my hometown in the military. But I'm on this retrans site of 20 people in all of Iraq. And there's a guy up there that's actually from my hometown. And in fact, his older brother is married to a girl that grew up like 2 trailers down from me. I was like, man, it is a small world.
It is.
What's even crazier is, you ever read Revelations in the Bible?
No.
No? Well, you know, Revelations is when the world is pretty much coming to an end, right? So a angel falls from the heavens and lands on the highest point in Iraq. And his name was Apollon. And when that happens, like the plague comes, the locusts come, and all this other stuff. It's a crazy story. So I'm up on Sinjar Mountain at the retrans site, the highest point in Iraq, with a soldier. His name is Specialist Christopher Apollon. Yeah. I was like, man. So the chaplain comes up, and we had a small shower trailer, and I just got done working out. I'm in the shower trailer, and I'm like, hey, chaplain, you read Revelations, right? He's like, yeah, I'm the chaplain, dude. And I was like, you ever heard of fallen angel Apollon? He's like, yeah.
Well, here you go.
He just looked at me, and his eyes got real big, and he was like, kind of crazy. He's like, you believe in God? I was like, I do. He said, better say a prayer.
So, funny. So, told you we deployed to 5 Falcon. Our LT was Lieutenant Falcon. And so that was his thing. He was like, hey, Lieutenant Falcon, welcome to 5 Falcon. That was, I mean, it was not named after him, but it was funny. Like, of all the places we went, it was the same last name. So, just reminded me since you said the mine.
AGR, man. Like I said, that was the Army's best kept secret.
It's not so much secret anymore. It was when I joined. It was such a good secret that when you did your application online, obviously, and then like I called HRC and I'm like, hey, I put an application in. I just wondered, what's the status? And the lady on the phone, she was like, oh, here you go. You ready? I'm gonna give you the places that we have open, and you pick the one you want. It was that quick. The next day, she was like, here's your orders. Now you got to put an application in. There's a board. Then if you get selected, then you got to wait. It's not a secret anymore. But
man, I think I was in the Army for probably 8 to 10 years before I ever knew what AGR was. And I still don't know all the nuances of it,
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the reserves, you know right away, because you guys are like, oh, you guys here every day? How is that? You active duty? And then right away, they're like, yeah, we AGRs. Well, what's that? It's active guard reserve. So that's how I heard about it. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Like,
I got a buddy, he's AGR, and he's going to retire himself. But he worked as IT guy kind of thing, way more advanced, more significant like that. And he's got like 12 acronyms after his name because he's wicked smart.
Got all the certifications.
Oh yeah, he's wicked smart. But he took leave from work And they paid him for his paid vacation. Well, then he got activated to come to SLC, so he double dipped the entire time. So the AGR, the way your time works, is completely different because you joined in 2003. Now it's 2025, and you're getting ready to retire.
Yeah. So I have, but at time in service, I have 22 years. But time in active duty, your active duty years, I'll have 20.
And that's what counts. That's what you want for your retirement.
Yeah, you need 20 years just like you do.
Yeah.
So the difference is the time that I did in the reserves when I was in the reservist, and that doesn't count towards active duty.
Only counts if you're activating and deployed or go to school.
Deployed to school, yeah.
Okay.
So if you brought on active duty orders, even if it's for 10 days, right? So if you're in the reserves and they put you on orders for 10 days, those 10 days count towards the active duty time. So you do, you instead of having, I don't know, like needing 20 years now, you need 19.5 of active duty time. So
that makes sense. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So
that'll be good shit though.
Yeah. So ever since 2007, when I came back to AGR, I've been AGR ever since. So all those times have been active duty time, just like yours, regardless if you deploy or not. It's the same.
All those nuances. Like I said, I didn't know shit about AGR, and I still don't know everything about it, of course, because I'm not AGR.
Yeah.
But had somebody told me about that option when I was a young buck.
Oh, a lot of people do.
I might have jumped.
A lot of people would have jumped this shit. Yeah, and that's why it was kept a secret for so long. Not really secret, but it wasn't advertised.
So how many people do you work with day to day? Because you still work 5 days a week, 9 to 5 kind of thing.
9 to 5, yeah.
The other people you work with are AGR as well.
So I have one AGR and one civilian. That's it.
Okay.
There's only 3 of us.
And then 1 week in a month, 2 weekends a year, or 2 weeks a year.
2 weeks a year.
Then you got everybody there.
Yeah. So the 1 week in a month, they come in for Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You get your whole unit is in there working, and then they go back, and then we keep going, and then 2 weeks out of the year.
Man, it'd be 3 weeks
for any training,
sitting at home behind my computer, fucking off, and then that 1 week it'd be like, oh, let's go do something. Don't incriminate yourself.
You could telework if you wanted to, but I mean, it depends, right? So it depends on the unit. My last unit, I was in an engineer battalion, right? So I was the S4 for an engineer battalion, having, I don't know, over 600 soldiers. So 7 companies. So there's a lot of soldiers, right? There's a lot of work to do. You do work nonstop. Here, we only have 60 soldiers in our unit, right? So there isn't a lot of work.
Man, it's not a bad gig.
No, it's not bad. I mean, so it's more laid back. It's only 60 soldiers. How much work do you really have to put into maintain a unit of 60 soldiers?
And then your books, since you guys are, reserve, your books aren't anywhere near what an active duty unit would be.
As far as property?
Yeah.
Again, it depends on the unit. We're a TDA unit, so we don't have any vehicles. We're an OCT unit right now, so we evaluate soldiers, right? So we don't have any vehicles. We don't have any comms, as you know, which is bare equipment. But the engineer unit, like those guys had tons of equipment, right? So we had a vertical unit. We had a rock clearance unit. So they have the Huskies. They have the D9, the dozers. They have everything. So it really all depends on the unit and the reserves.
So right now, you just gotta.
Yeah, right now, I have the easiest gig probably.
You were in the right place at the right time. You have the right job. Perfect way to go out.
Which helped me to get, like, having this job has helped me with the med board and everything, because even though I'm going through the med board, I don't want to just say, hey, I'm med board and I'm out. I don't want to do any work, right? I still want to work. I still want to contribute until the last day. But being in a unit like this is super easy because I can be like, oh, I have an appointment today. I don't have to get on the computer. Nothing's really pressing. If I was in the engineer unit, I'll be kind of stressed out, like, damn, I have an appointment, but I still have a lot of work to do. So yeah, this unit, everything lined up perfectly.
So you're out this summer. What's next? Have you made that choice
I don't
yet?
know.
You don't know what you want to be
I
when
don't
you
know.
grow up?
I really don't know. This is all I've known.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to go back to cooking.
Yeah, sure.
I'm too old for that.
It's stressful.
You don't have a life.
No.
Yeah, people who work in restaurant business, I mean, you have a life, but you don't, right?
And the higher up you get, higher echelon, the less free time you have. So you're trying to stay in the logistics realm?
Yeah. When
you retire?
If I decide to get a job, yeah. I mean, I probably will get a job, but yeah.
You're gonna get bored.
Yeah,
crazy.
probably will. I just don't know if I want to go back to answering to somebody 9 to 5 every day. Like I've done it for 20 years, and a lot of people have to do it until their 60s. So I'm thankful for that. But I don't know, maybe something part time or.
It doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna answer to somebody.
Yeah, but it's I just don't want to be. I think part time. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know what to do.
Because I thought, man, I'll start my own business. I don't have to answer anybody. I'll work my own hours. I get phone calls and emails and messages on Facebook, and instead of having to deal with 2 or 3 bosses, hell, damn near everybody that comes in here is my boss. So, and I say that like I'm griping. I'm not griping. I have an excellent clientele base.
Yeah, but it's your business, right?
Yeah.
So
I can deny people. Like, there are quite a few people I have fired clients. Like, I don't want to work with you, or I refuse to do your business. But at the end of the day, I'm still answering to somebody,
Yeah, but it's a difference when it's yours, right? So you're doing it for you. I just don't want to work 9 to 5 full time for somebody else, and it's their business, whatever company or whatever. I honestly just don't know. Like, I haven't really thought about it. I've been more focused on getting to my 20 years, getting everything situated with the VA and stuff like that, and then as we get closer, I'll probably worry about it.
So Syphil Tap failed you is what you're saying.
No, it's a good program. Some of the classes you're like, come on, get me out of here. But it hasn't failed me. Like, I have a plan. Like, if I really push it, I'm pretty sure I can get something on logistics.
Oh yeah. Means you can sit on your ass and pay your bills.
Yeah. So it's just, but mostly it's waiting to see how my wife's job goes. Like, if she has something, she has the opportunity to move up, then hey, we'll pack it up and go. I just don't want to start a job now and then move 3 months, say, hey, I have to quit. So
I get that.
That's what we're waiting to find out exactly.
I got you. Well, man, I wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors, and I appreciate you coming through.
Same, absolutely. Appreciate it.
It's been a good time. And so the
GTST.
My bad. The GTST.
Yeah, I can't. I don't
90,
call it. It's not a
93
GTR.
GTST.
94.
94. Man, I am all jacked out.
94 R33 GTS-T.
R33 GTS-T.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it green in a minute. Watch.
No, that's your favorite color.
It is. It's absolutely a beautiful car. So we'll check it out. Off the top of the head, like, what horsepower numbers? What do you got right now?
425, I think, on corn.
Pretty conservative.
And it's a very conservative tune. It's got all stock internals, so we don't want to try to push it and do any damage to it.
RB25.
RB25. Yep.
Okay. What's that turbo?
Don't remember.
Don't remember.
GTX 3071R, but I can't remember what size it is.
Got you. No, it scoots.
I mean, it's not the fastest car.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted one since Gran Turismo, and the opportunity came around, and I was like, let me get it. And then I was looking at a couple, but then I saw the Midnight Purple, and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's
just the style, the body lines, the color. I mean, you can't beat it. It's an absolutely gorgeous car.
I appreciate it. 33 is my favorite. I mean, everybody loves 34s.
Yeah.
But 33 is my favorite. I don't know. The interior of the 32 is what I don't like about the 32. The way that the setup is. The 33 for me is just, that's it. I mean, I love it. I love a Skyline regardless.
True.
But 33 is the one for me.
I would love to have a 34, but financially, right now, they're just not achievable.
I mean, you can buy a house for what people want for a 34 right now.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. 32s, I've worked on quite a few, and I mean, Eric's is by far the cleanest I've ever seen. I absolutely loved his old one. I know he's sad he got rid of it. I'm sad he got rid of it. But that's like one of the cleanest specimens I've ever seen. But he put in the wrench time, he took it to the right shops. I put in the wrench time, and then he put in the wrench time. He got it painted, all this other stuff. So I know how much energy went into that. I don't want that. It was a project and a half.
Yeah,
it's a labor of love. He loved doing it.
I mean, all our projects, and the reason why I say that is because everybody, like, right out of the chute, everybody says, "Oh, you got a Skyline, it must be fast." But if you look into the Skylines, they weren't fast, right? Even the RB26, even the actual GTRs, they're not really that fast. You have to build them, right? Mm-hmm. You have to do all this work to them, right? But everybody always assumes, oh, it's a Skyline, it's fast, and they're not. So you have to put a lot of work. And those cars, you have to wait 25 years to get them in here. So you don't know how they were treated in Japan or
that's a big one.
In Australia. Like, you never know what you're going to get. So when you get it, you probably have to do a lot of work to them.
What people don't realize is, here they're highly sought after and they're highly desired. and everybody wants one. It's a right-hand drive, and you can only get them in Japan, yada yada. Well, dudes in Japan treat them like, you know, kids treat Honda Civics here.
Yeah.
They hack them up.
They hack them up. They
cut
chop
them,
them up.
slice them. They, you know, cut the wiring harnesses, splice all this crap in. So when you get them over here, you know, 9 times out of 10, you don't get to see it before it hits stateside.
No, unless you got somebody over there that's shopping for you. But you know, you got to know a lot of people. A lot of times, is when it comes to your door, is the first time you've seen it.
Yeah.
That was the case with me, right? Like the first time it showed up in the tow truck, I was like, oh, there it is. Now let me see what's all wrong with it, right?
I hope this isn't a rat's nest.
Yeah, mine wasn't too bad. Mine really wasn't too bad. It was pretty clean, so I got lucky.
Yeah.
But I've seen some stories where the guys get them and then it's just a rust bucket.
Mm-hmm.
I know, in Japan everything rusts really quick, so yeah.
Those things are not garage queens over there.
No,
and
I mean, I don't think there's garages in Japan really.
Yeah, and then you wait 25 years and you finally get this car you've been drooling over,
and
it gets delivered and it's a coin flip.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's a coin flip for everybody. And the worst part about it is there isn't a lot of places that work on it, right?
No.
So you can't just go down the street and say, hey, can you work on this car? You want to find somebody that knows how to work on the Skylines. Luckily for me, I knew the guy. Well, I got introduced to the guy down at Countersteer in Georgia, Dylan. And he's amazing with it. And, you know, he did all the work. My buddy Mike did a lot of work for me too. So he's the one that helped me take the motor out. We kind of cleaned it out and whatnot. Took it to Dylan and he just took care of business.
All the like prominent GTR shops I know of are all in like Jersey, New York, or in Florida. There's not a whole lot on the East Coast, like in the center of the East Coast. So where do you take yours to?
Countersteer.
Countersteer?
They're in Canton, Georgia. So like 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
Okay.
It's just right now I think it's just him, but it's a small shop. But the guy knows Skylines, right? It's like he's the guy to go to. So that's what we took it to. A couple of my buddies have taken theirs over there too. So he knows his stuff. And the good thing about him is like if I have issues, he have no problem with me picking up the phone, calling him, and you know he'll be like, "Let me help you out. Let's see what's going on. Let's remote in." So yeah,
that's paramount.
Yeah.
Having that good one-to-one with your tuner, it's like finding a barber. You know, you build that relationship, a professional relationship. Because if you don't have that, you know, it's not going to work. Yeah, no, I mean, he's awesome. Like, hey, you know, I have a question or whatever, he'll answer. If I have issues, I feel like, hey, the car's not running right or whatever, he'll get in, look at the tune, adjust as needed. So, hell yeah. That's good shit, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming through.
Thanks for the cigar and the drink.
Absolutely. Let's go check out this car.
Yeah.
Anybody you want to shout out? Sponsors, anybody?
Dylan and Countersteer, obviously. And then Mike Thompson. He's the one that helped me the most. Because I didn't know anything about him when I first got it. And then he walked me through it, helped me with the car and everything. So.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Let's go check it out.
Yep. Let's go.
All right, guys, I'm here today with my buddy Andy, and this is his gorgeous R33. Tell him who you are and what it is.
Andy, 1994 Nissan Skyline R33 GTS-T. So it's got the RB25 dead on it.
Sounds nasty, though. All right, what have you got done to it?
Bigger turbo, obviously, went with the Garrett GTX 3071R. Custom work by Countersteer. Head gasket, oil pump, LS alternator swap, fuel pump, injectors. It runs on E85 right now.
Running on corn. You can smell it.
On corn. Oh yeah.
You can smell it. The wheels. What's up with the wheel specs?
Graham lights, 5070R, powder coated by you, obviously, and the purple calipers to match the car. The wheels were originally black. You got them done white.
What suspension's on there?
Oh, I can't remember.
Can't remember. Too easy. Too easy. Interior.
Interior is mostly stock, just a Haltech can, Recaro seats, and the harness bar.
Takata harnesses. Momo steering wheel.
Momo steering wheel.
I dig it. I dig it. I love that midnight purple.
Yeah. That's what turned me into the car was the color.
I get it. I get it completely. So many small intricacies to this car, though.
Yeah, gritty intercooler. Forgot about that. I mean, HK is blow-off valve.
Remote start. How much power are you putting down?
On corn, on a very conservative tune, we did 425.
425.
We have stuck internal, so we didn't want to push it too far and then blow something up.
You still got the Nintendo in there?
The PlayStation, no. I took
PlayStation.
the PlayStation out.
He has a PlayStation. He also starts the car with a Nintendo controller. We'll get that in later. All right. All right, guys, that was episode 2 of Vets and Vics with my buddy Andy Gomez and his gorgeous R33 GTS-T Skyline. Hope you enjoyed. So like, subscribe, and if you need any swag, check out www.vetsandvics.bigcartel.com. Thanks. Have a good one. Out.